In this lesson, we're looking at rotations. This is another form of our rigid motion. Rotation in elementary school, we called it a turn. And it's around a fixed point called the center of rotation. So you can see they do not think hard on these names, right? And it could be the origin, or it could be being rotated around a point. This lesson, we're only going to focus around the origin. The figure rotates at a specific angle and direction. Though the figure can rotate around any fixed point, the most common center of rotation is the origin. Okay. There are some formulas. Unfortunately, you are going to have to memorize them. They are not given to you on the SAT or the PSAT. So, like I say, the more you write it, the more you know it. We will be writing these formulas over and over again just to help us memorize it. So for counterclockwise, clockwise, if you think of a hands on a clock, this is clockwise. So counterclockwise, they would be going towards the left. The rule for a 90-degree counterclockwise is we're going to take our original ordered pair. We're going to flip, or I should say switch, our x and y and change the sign of the y. Since we're rotating towards the left, you're seeing the y's change. So we were from the positive quadrant 1, now we're in positive quadrant 2, but we're still walking right here. So we're over here, now we're going to be over there. So we're flipping our x and y, changing the sign of your y. The formula for 180 degrees, excuse me, my nose is running, so I'm going to be sniffing through this whole video. And you're going to see it's all, when we do 180, we could draw that straight line here. So it's going to be down in quadrant 3. We all know 180 degrees makes a straight line. 270 degree counterclockwise, the formula is switch your x and y again, but now we're changing the sign of your x. Which is now your y. It gets a little confusing, but the more we write it, the more we know it, right? So make sure you have this written down. And I'm going to be honest, when it comes to rotation versus translation or reflection, we can kind of count draw our pre-image, count the units, and make really a best guess without having to use the formulas, except for that y equals x and y equals negative x. But when it comes to rotation for me, my brain, I trust the formula. I use it to get the answer right. Some of you might be able to look at it and make those adjustments, and your brains might click a little bit better. But for me, I have to trust the formula. So when I see 90 degrees counterclockwise, I'm going to write it again. Again, the more you write it, the more you know it. That's the way I'm going to get sorry, I keep sniffing. That's the way I'm going to get my brain to memorize this. So I'm going to go ahead and graph my pre-image. I've got my straight edge. You can use your ID, whatever, but make sure they are pretty straight lines. Remember, walk and climb. I know we did a lot with slope, rise over run. It gets a little confusing. Just remember, this is what you've always done. Walk, climb, put your point. So this is my positive, negative, positive, negative. I know some of us still struggle on that. It gets a little confusing. It's okay. If you need to, you might even highlight your x and y. These graphs are a little bit bigger, so they're easier to see. But if you need your axes highlighted, go for it. Whatever you need to do. So I'm going to walk 2, climb 7, put my point, and that's A. Walk 6, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, B. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, C. Okay, now this is one mistake I've been seeing in my classes is we're wanting to put the point like maybe over here or maybe right there. Put it right there in the middle of the cross, okay? Sorry, you guys are going to have to hear me sniffle today. Making my straight edge. it's good to be meticulous here because especially if you go into a job that you have to build blueprints and things like that, we want our pictures to be as perfect as we possibly can since we are drawing them by hand, okay? So really take the time, no ugly lines, okay? Okay, so now I'm going to go ahead and apply the rule here and get my image. So this is my pre-image. Remember, no apostrophes tells me that's my first line. Okay, so using the rule here, I'm going to flip my 7 and 2 and only change the sign of the Y. B, flip, switch the sign of my Y. Flip, switch the sign of my Y. So you see why I rely on that formula so much. And then I graph it. So walk -7, climb 2, and that is A prime. B is -5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Make sure you're like a frog on the line and you're hopping from one line to the next. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. B prime. -1. 1, 2, 3, 4. C prime. Make my connection. Again, some of you might be able to do this without the formula, like you'll just learn those patterns. My brain is not like that. It doesn't do that. Okay, so that's 90 degrees counterclockwise. All right, let's try the next one at 180 degrees. And again, I'm going to write that formula. The more I write it, the more I will have it memorized. So I don't change anything but the signs. All right, here we go. Again, if you need to, you can highlight your axes just to make them stick out a little bit more. And here we go. Walk 2, climb 6. 1, 2 to the right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Put my P. 6, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now feel free to slow down the video, pause the video, whatever you need to here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1. And 1, 2. It's supposed to be a square. Well, it's starting to look like a square now. Always step back and look. If one's a little wonky, then you know you probably messed up somewhere. And that's why, again, it's important to use a straight edge because that's going to help you eyeball it enough. Oops, I didn't put my letter, did I? Okay, now I'm going to apply my rule. Again, keeping my X and Y in the right order, just changing their signs. Now remember, when I use a, that's an ugly 2, if I use a negative here, it just means do the opposite sign of what the original is. Q would be -6, -5, because you're going to see it drop down in that third quadrant. R is -5, -1, and S is -1, 2. Okay, now I graph. So -2, 6. Ooh, I didn't change it, did I? Ooh, I almost messed up. But see, my brain's already telling me it should be in the third quadrant, so when I saw I was going to climb up to the second, I was like, wait a minute, I think I messed up. So it's good to kind of have these visualized, like, okay, it's going to switch diagonally to the different quadrant. You'll get there. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. P prime. -6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's my -5. Q prime. -5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. -1. R prime. And -1, 2. Ooh, look, I did it again. Like my brain knew it should have dropped, but I didn't change my sign in my answer. So you'll get there, I promise. Just kind of make sense of it. Get a vision in your head of which quadrant it should be in before you start, and then you will see it happen. Awesome. All right, our next one, we're looking at 270 degrees counterclockwise, so it's moving towards the left. I'm going to go ahead and highlight that. If you're still struggling on your signs, remember up is positive, right is positive, left is negative, and down is negative. Okay, I'm going to go ahead. So sorry. It's that time of year where we're all sounding gross. Okay, the rule for 270, if I don't write it, I will not remember it, I promise you. I still have to write it every year that I start this lesson because I won't, this time next year, I'm not going to remember that again. So I have to start writing it over and over again. Okay, so 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. That's J. 6, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. 8, 1. I just have the 8s memorized because it's on the end there. And 1, 1. So this is supposed to be a trapezoid. Definition of a trapezoid is a quadrilateral with one pair of parallel sides. So that looks about right, doesn't it? We're going to get into polygons next, so all that will make sense. Awesome. Okay, there's my pre-image. Now I'm going to apply that rule. I'm going to switch my x and y and only change the sign of my x. So this is going to be 4, 3, change the sign of my 3. Okay, 4, 6, change the sign of my 6. 1, 8, change the sign of my 8, and 1, 1, change the sign of that second one, which is now my y. That's not confusing, right? Okay, here we go. 4, negative 3. So 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. And if you look back here, it should switch down here. Okay, so I know it should be in the 4th quadrant. And then 4, 6. 4, negative 6. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Oh my goodness, and look at me not labeling my points. You got to get on to Miss H here because I know I wouldn't give you credit if you didn't do that. So stop me if I don't. So 1, negative 8, L prime, and 1, negative 1. You guys make sure you stop me in class if you see that I'm being lazy and not labeling my points, okay? If you catch me not doing it in my videos, let me know in class, okay? There it is. Oh, that looks good. Okay, I am going to go ahead and focus on number 5 and 6 here. And then we are going to practice the others in class. Okay. So again, I'm going to focus on 5 and 7. You know what? I might go ahead and go back and make a video on the other 3, but I do want you to try them on your own just to see, kind of build that confidence here. Okay, again, 270 counterclockwise, I'm going to be using the formula of where I switch them and only change the sign of the x. So again, I'm starting to memorize it now just by writing this. Okay, so let me graph my pre-image first. I'm going to, let me highlight this again. And again, if you're still struggling, remember up is positive, right is positive, left is negative, and down is negative. Okay, so negative 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is a rhombus. A rhombus is a square that's been slanted. Negative 1, 7. Excuse me, negative 3, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. And negative 7, 1. Ooh, it's been super slanted. Oh my gosh, I almost did it again. F. Don't forget to label your points. My math teachers would be very upset with me if they knew I wasn't labeling my points. I too get lazy sometimes, I'll admit it. Okay, there it is. So now let's vision. 270 degrees counterclockwise to left. So this would be 90, 180, 270. Ooh, that's smart. I should put that. 90, 180, 270. So it should be over here. Okay, so let me apply the rule where I switch. C would be 5, negative 5, but I'm going to change the sign of that x, and then I get 7, negative 1, change the sign. 3, negative 3, change the sign. And 1, negative 7, change the sign. For me, I like to just write them normal and then change my sign. But if you can do all that in your head while, at one step, go ahead. It's just something that I know that I'm struggle with, and we always want to learn our weaknesses and focus on fixing those. So here we go. Oh, I am so wrong here, aren't I? I went the opposite way. Oh my gosh, look here. This what counterclockwise, we talked about that, is going this way, right? So this is 90, this is 180, this is 270. And I will start writing that so we can visualize it. My bad. So here we go. 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and that is C prime. 7, 1, E prime. F1 would be 1, 7, F prime, and 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3 prime is, there's my D prime. Ooh. See, when I try to do it in my brain, I still got it backwards. That's why I trust the formula. So if you are one that you can memorize formulas, you trust those, go that route. If you're a visual where you can visualize that rotating around, that's the route you take. Okay, so you just do what works best for you. I will get better. Okay, the more we write, the more we know it. So 180 is, I take my original and I don't switch anything, I just change their signs. Okay, so let me get it graphed and then I'll label it. So 17 is M, 8, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 is N, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2 is O, and negative 1, 2, 3, positive 1, 2, 3, 4, a parallelogram. Parallelograms don't necessarily have to be straight. If they have straight sides, they're usually a rectangle or a square. But it's a rectangle or square that's been slanted. Okay, now we are going to rotate this at 180 degrees. And if you look here, it should be in diagonal from this quadrant. And you'll get to where you memorize like what it should look like. And some of you will be able to do it without the formula. Some of you might need it. My brain, I need the formula. So I know that it should be around here somewhere. And again, if you think about it, counting by 90s, 90, 180, 270. Okay, and if I'm going counterclockwise, that's this way. I always forget. So it will be rotated 90, 180. Ooh, so maybe it's down. No, that seems like 270. This is what I'm saying. I can't do that. I can't visualize it. Some of you can because your brains are amazing. I have to use the formula. So I tried. I failed. Okay, so M prime, I leave them the same order and I change the sign. I leave them the same order, change their sign. Leave the same order, change their signs. Sorry, again, I'm sniffling. Leave the same order, change their signs. So I always write the original one and then I change it. Okay, now we'll graph. Remember, positive is up and to the right, negative is to the left and down. And then I'm going to graph. All right, and now we graph. So negative 1, negative 7, M prime, negative 8, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, negative 5, negative 4, 3, 4, negative 2, climb down. And again, making sure you label them. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. So my first instinct was right. It should be down here. As we saw, it should be kind of diagonal. Drops down into that quadrant 3. This one just stretches over to quadrant 4 too. But you'll see, so this would be 90 degree counterclockwise, and then down here is 180 degrees. So if I had to rotate it 270 would be over here. And of course 360 would be back at where we began. So that's why we don't rotate them 360 degrees, because you'd be right back at their original pre-image is what I should call it. Okay, give it a go, and we will try the others together.